Okay, thank you very much for starting this event, Charlie. And welcome to everybody. I can see some messages. People are already coming to the room from, we've already got Croatia, Thailand. This is just amazing. So thank you very much for joining me here. It's afternoon here. I'm in Greece. I will have met some of you. Some of you will be meeting you virtually for the first time. My name is Jeanne Perrett, and I've been teaching since 1981. But I'm also a materials writer. I'm an author as well of lots of different books for Pearson. And today we're going to be talking about our very young learners. In other words, we're talking about children from 3 to 6 years old, 3 to 6 or 7 years old. And we're going to be talking about routines and classroom management for very young learners. And I would just like to say that I do feel especially qualified to talk about very young learners, not only from my experiences in the classroom, but also because now I am a grandmother of 6. We've got 6 little children in our family now. So the oldest is 8 and the youngest is 3 months old. So I do, as I say, feel especially qualified to talk about basically controlling chaos, which is often what it is. So I hope I can be helpful to you. We'll see how we get on. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so hang on. Let's just find out how I move these slides over. Okay. All right, okay. So what are we going to look at today? First, we're going to be acknowledging the challenges of teaching very young learners. Then we're going to be talking about how we can link everything that we do in our classroom to language learning, which is, our primary aim. We're going to be talking about the importance of greetings and the time that we give to greetings, circle time, book time, how we deal with games and how we approach games, the importance and how we can do miming in the classroom, craft and stickers work, songs and chants, how we do the workbook, and preparing to leave the class. So that's our timetable. We've got 45 minutes to chat together. If you've got any questions, put them in the chat box and we'll have some time at the end of the session. So my colleagues, Charlie and Saskia, are going to look at the questions and pick out the ones that we think are sort of most typical. All right, so if you do have any questions, put them in the chat box, okay. So first of all, acknowledging the challenges, and I call them challenges because, of course, when the children are very young, it is challenging for them, especially, and challenging for us. Our first challenge is that the children who come to our lessons don't know a single word of English. Some of them may have a little bit, but for most of them, it's completely a new language. So, you're sort of thinking, what am I going to do? Where do I start? It seems such an enormous task to begin with. And I hope that I'll be able to show you how we can sort of make it into lots of little different tasks, becomes manageable. Now then, most importantly, for the little ones, the experience of being in a classroom is new. Now then, it depends where you are in the world. I said already we've got people from, different sort of hemispheres and different, all over the place. So if you're at the start of a school year now, as you would be if you're in Europe, for example, you'll be more or less at the start of a new year. Now then, for our very little ones, especially they're 3, 4, 5, or even 6, some of them may never have been in a classroom before. Okay, and for the very young ones, the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, basically, a lot of them are still crying because they're being parted from their parents or their carers. And they find the whole experience of being in a different room with different children, with you, the teacher, who they've never met before. It's very confusing for them. So, although primarily our job is to teach them English, actually that comes second in the list. The very first thing is to make sure that our children are safe. This is our number one priority. A, that they are safe and secure, and B, that gradually they will come to feel comfortable in this new learning environment. And it takes a while, but there's no rush. We can go slowly. As we know, it all looks very different. Once the first month is over, the children have already started to get used to this initial separation and of being somewhere else. They've started to get to know each other as well. But it is a challenge for them and for us right at the very beginning. All right. And then, of course, this whole thing that they might actually have no idea of why they're in an English language classroom. They might have no idea of what the language is, or why they're learning it. And many of them, of course, can't even speak their own language completely fluently. We're talking about 3 or 4-year-olds. A lot of them are still struggling to find words and to put sentences together. So these are the challenges that we have. Let's see how we can get on with it. Okay. So, as I said, our number one concern is making sure that the children are safe, that they're protected, and that they're in a welcoming and a friendly environment. And at this age, everything else comes second. So our task is to help them start to learn and then to love learning English. This is our aim. If we can get them to fall in love with English at this age, then it's unlikely that they will fall out of love at a later stage, okay? This first impression that they will have of English and their English lessons is all important. So absolutely, we want to make it a nice, positive, fun start for them where they feel that they can continue. All right, now then, linking everything to language learning. First of all, I'd like to say that it is, if you can, and if you feel confident, talk to the children always in English. Use it as much as possible. Now then, in my experience, I've been lucky enough to travel around the world a lot and to meet a lot of teachers of very young learners. And in my experience, what often happens is that the younger teachers, and sometimes they're the less experienced teachers, are the ones who are given the very young learners. All right. There are good things and bad things about this. The good thing is that the little children absolutely adore being taught by young teachers, okay? Of course, what might happen, one of the disadvantages is that if you are very young and you're not very experienced in the classroom, it might be that you feel a little bit insecure about speaking English all the time. In other words, making it a bilingual classroom. All right. But especially at this stage, the more you use English, the more you are helping the children to become bilingual. All right. It lets them get used to the sound and the rhythms of the language. All right. So all of the classroom routines, everything you say to the children, and the way that you manage the class can be done in English. All right. Now, what I would like to stress is that if you do use the book, I've written level 1 of the book Disney Stars and Friends. Now then, in the teacher's book, what we have done, there are 3 levels of this course. What we and my other colleagues who wrote the other 2 levels have done is we've written down all the kind of things that you can say in the classroom. Okay, so we've got like sort of teacher talk advice of what you can say when you're getting the children into the classroom, helping them to do things. So if you are feeling a little bit insecure, then that is all in the teacher's book. The teacher's book will really help you there, I think. Now then, you must also remember that there's one thing talking to the children in English when they're doing anything, whatever you're saying, hello, come in, sit down, etc., etc. But there is also your target language. So your target language is your aim for that lesson, all right? And again, if you look at the book, if you look at Disney Stars and Friends, the target lesson is always just a couple of words, 2 or 3 words, or maybe a phrase. It's very clear and it's very finite, okay? So don't get muddled in your own mind. There are 2 things. One is create an English environment in your classroom where everything you say is in English, all right? All the routines and all the classroom management. But the other side of it is your target language, what you actually want the children to learn that lesson, all right? And I also think that it's actually a very good idea to inform the parents of how you are going to go about teaching their children, so that they might see you talking to the children in English and the children don't understand everything. Doesn't matter if they don't understand, you're just going to keep doing it. You're going to keep saying, sit down, show them the chair, etc. They're going to gradually get it, okay? But if, for example, sit down is not your target language, the children are not expected to remember it or to be able to say it. So I think that you can make this clear to the parents, okay, that they're not going to understand absolutely everything, and they're certainly not going to be reproduce everything that you say in the lesson, but you're going to have this English background, and within it, you're going to have your much smaller target language, okay, which will be in the book. And I think it is good generally to keep the parents informed if you are going to have this I speak English in the classroom philosophy in your school, just so that the parents don't expect too much of the children, okay? All right, so basically what we want is we want our children to have this background English as part of the classroom environment. And the more you use it, the more they will get used to it. And of course, what you will find is they will pick up and start to say a lot of that background English, okay? But always keep it clear in your mind what your target language is and what you actually want the children to be reproducing, okay? So the first thing when we start a lesson is the children come into school, all right? So greetings. First of all, obviously, you need to learn the children's name as soon as possible. Of course, you've got a new class, you've got everyone coming in. It's obvious that you are going to learn the children's name. All right. If you've got like 20 children or something, then you need to try and speed this up for yourself. So you can put stickers with their names or put the stickers on their top so that you can remember it. It's very, very important that we greet each child by name as they come into the classroom. Now then, again, these are things we need to spend time on. When the children come into the classroom, notice the little things about each child. It's sometimes obvious what they are proud of. Like maybe they're coming in and they, you can see they're holding their head because they've got, masses of gel in their hair. They've done it themselves for you. Or they've got a new bag, or their shoes. You can see if they're new, or a new top. I can't stress enough. I mean, obviously, those of you who are most of us, I would say many of us are parents. So we do know what goes on behind the scenes. And we do know that the children make an effort to come into class. And of course, then it's absolutely wonderful if the teacher has time and notices these little things, okay? Because making an effort before we go somewhere, and especially making an effort before we go to school, shows a very, very positive attitude towards learning. And this is something we want to nurture. So do take time. And again, you can do it in English. You can do it in English. It's okay. They will still get your body language and your tone. So you can say, oh, nice hair slide. Your hair looks great. Nice new shoes. White shoes. Lovely. Okay. So all of these little compliments and everything, you can say it in English. It doesn't matter. For them, in the first, it'll just be like confusing. But inside, they'll be enjoying it, okay? I can absolutely guarantee that they are enjoying it. They might look a bit confused, okay? But keep on going. They'll know that you are complimenting them. It's all down to the tone of the voice and how we speak to somebody. All right. And then, of course, don't forget that first of all, it's very important that each child knows where to put their bag, where they're going to sit, what things you've got in the classroom. So obviously we take time to show all of this. And it's nice, they don't get bored with being shown things again. The need for repetition is great, especially at this stage. So show them again, have they put their bag on the right peg? Do they know where the books are? Do they know where the toilet is? Have they got a seat? Would they like to sit in a different seat? All of these things are very important, just as you would when you're welcoming somebody into your home to make them feel comfortable. Okay, this is exactly the same kind of routine that we need to have, the same attitude that we need to have when we're welcoming our children into the classroom. Now then, as I said, that we learn each child's name. Now then, what I really want you to make an effort to do is for each child to learn the other children's names and to use them, okay? Now, this is something that we sometimes overlook, but it is massively important in facilitating friendly communication. There's a big difference if a child uses another child's name. So instead of just saying hello, Anthony, or what, hello, if they say hello, Anthony, okay, to the child, or hello, Maria, that immediately makes the children's communication with each other better. They feel noticed, they feel important. It's not something that you even kind of register, actually, but you're registering it inside. It is something you register. It isn't something you will comment on, okay? But children who communicate really well are children who know each other's names. Now then again, this is difficult because to learn each other's names, they've got to hear them again and again and again, and they forget. So remind them every time, okay? Don't assume that on day 2 they'll have remembered each other's name. Keep on going right for the next 3 months to make sure that they know each other's names, okay? Because it makes a massive difference in how they feel towards each other. Okay, hang on, and I'm trying to click down here, slide down my thing. Okay, no, that's not happening. Hang on, sorry. Hang on a sec. Sorry, technical thing here. Okay. Okay, all right. So as I said, children using each other's names makes a big difference to how they perceive each other and how they communicate. And keep reminding them. They won't learn all the names straight away. They might not be able to pronounce all of them either. Don't forget, remember this, because their native language speech is still developing. And if a child's got a long name, they won't necessarily be able to say it, even though it's in their own language. And if you are going to give the children, sometimes we allocate English names to children in our English classes. I mean, that's completely up to you. The children often like doing that, actually, but it's completely up to you. So, but anyway, keep at it, basically, and keep reminding them. Okay. All right. Now then, if you are already a kindergarten teacher, then you will be familiar with the concept of circle time. If you are an English teacher who's been teaching in a regular school and been teaching like 7, 8, 9-year-olds, you might not realize the importance of circle time. But basically what it means is you get the children to sit down together in a circle with you as part of that circle. And they can either sit on the floor or they can sit on their little chairs, whatever they've got, okay? So start off each lesson with circle time. You make that the start of every lesson. It gets the children sitting down. It makes them feel comfortable. They're sitting down together. It's a passive activity to start with, okay? They're just going to sit down together, and it makes them feel part of a comfortable group. And then because you're all in a circle and you can all see each other, it helps them to start to focus on the aims of the lesson, because in circle time is where you will first present the language, okay? So you're not going to be using the book at this stage. You're going to be talking to them, right? Okay, and what I suggest is that you use a puppet to help you introduce the target language. Now then, if you do use My Disney Stars and Friends, we have a lovely little Mickey Mouse puppet that you can use for this. If you don't have that puppet, you can use another doll or a toy or something. But using a puppet really helps, okay? Because as I say, as we know, the difficulty is they don't know anything. So where are we going to start? All right. So you can use the puppet to help you introduce the language. All right, so first of all, keep the puppet in a particular place and bring the puppet out from there every lesson. All right, so let's find the puppet. Where's Mickey? Where's Mickey? And they're going to find out where Mickey is. They'll all know where he is, always have Mickey in the same place. All right, they can all call him, Mickey, Mickey, where are you? You can say, where are you? You want them to say Mickey, all right? Again, don't muddle the two, the English environment and the target language. Mickey, Mickey. All right. And then Mickey will come out, all right, and he can say hello to all the children by name. This is right at the beginning of the school year, okay? Now then, you're going to present the language that you're teaching to the puppet first. All right, so you might actually have you might have a flashcard, or you might have an actual item. All right, and you're going to show the item or the flashcard to the puppet. And you can either have the puppet understand straight away, or maybe more helpfully, you can make the puppet need to have it repeated. Say, look, Mickey, a ball, a ball. And you go, a ball, no, a ball, good, yes, that's right, it's a ball, yes, Mickey, good, Mickey, a ball, ball, very good, Mickey. All right, so let Mickey do it. Now, the kids are just listening now, all right? They don't have to do anything. This is a great way to start the lesson, because they will be picking it up. Mickey can make mistakes. Mickey can get it wrong. You might Mickey saying it's something completely different. You can have fun with it, basically. But you're going to be repeating that word, or however 2 or 3 words you're going to be teaching them, maybe, right at the beginning of the lesson, all through Mickey. And then, of course, you can move on from Mickey to the children. So hang on a second. Let's have a look here. That's that one. All right. All right. Now then, so they can play around with Mickey. Mickey is the focus of the tension, and then Mickey can do it. So you're already kind of putting the children in the position that you know that they know this word. They don't know this word. They've never heard this word before. But somehow it's as if they are complicit in the lesson. Mickey's got to learn it, all right? And they already know it's a ball. All right. So somehow you're empowering them in some way. Okay. Now then, so once you presented the lesson, let's say we're teaching ball, okay, to Mickey. So what's this, Mickey? And then Mickey can be thinking, of course, Mickey's just a puppet. He doesn't have any facial expressions, but you use your facial expressions. So Mickey's going, oh. And of course, the children will be calling out the responses, okay? They won't be able to stop themselves. They'll have got it. Ball, ball, ball. It's a ball, Mickey. All right. Now then, in this way, they can call out responses, they can chorus it, they can call it out together. Doesn't matter who's answering. Don't ask one child to answer, okay, especially at this stage. So that if they can just randomly call out and they can call it out together, it feels safe for them. Nobody has to stand out. Nobody has to worry about whether or not they're saying correctly, all right? And very importantly, at this stage in their English language career, always accept approximations of words, okay? Always accept approximations of words and phrases. Saying things wrong is an absolutely vital stage in saying things right, okay? So don't correct them. So don't say, if they say it's a wall and not a ball, don't correct them, okay? Just say, yes, a ball, a ball. Just keep saying it correctly back to them, okay? And again, this is something that I would say, tell the parents about it as well. So don't worry if they get it wrong. Let them leave that up to you, okay? Because we want to involve the parents. We're also all parents. We want to involve the parents, but we don't want them to start sort of going against our philosophy in the school. So I would always write it down at the beginning of the year, how you're going to be teaching the children. Otherwise, you're going to have endless, one-to-one sort of interviews with the parents. If I were you, I'd write it down that, try not to correct the child. Gradually, they're going to self-correct. Okay. And again, it's important because, of course, they don't always know the words in their own language properly. All right. Sorry, hang on a second. All right, sorry. Let me just get down here. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So you're going to start off. You're going to present all the language in the circle time, and then what we can do is we can have the books. All right. Now the books. First of all, show the children that you like the actual books and that you are interested in them, that it's a big thing. Now then, you and I, we might have been brought up with books. I was certainly brought up with books. I'm sure that a lot of you were. But not all children have a lot of books at home, all right? So it's very important for them to have time to discover the books, and also at this very age to help them turn the pages without tearing them as well. These are, fine motor skills here. And if they do accidentally tear pages, mend them immediately because they get upset if they turn a page, okay? So mend the book straight away. All right, and let them just enjoy actually having a book, all right? Don't forget that if you're going to ask them to find a page in the book, then you have to go round each single child, to make sure they've got the correct page. And of course, what will happen is that the students will start to help each other. Once somebody has found the correct page, if you say turn to page 3, they don't know what page 3 is, they don't know what turn to is. So you're going to show them what page 3 is, you're going to show them what the page looks like. All these things take time. Basically, what we want is time all the time in our classrooms. So it's always true, I think, to do a little bit less and have time to do these things and let them enjoy them. And then help them to focus their attention on the books and the pictures on the page, okay? So they have time to look at it and to enjoy looking at it. Of course, they might want to keep turning pages. If you're going to be telling a story, all right, and you want them to follow the story in the book, make sure they haven't turned over another page and they're following something different. These things take ages, and let them help each other with this. All right, so in circle time, if you're going to do a story, you will have introduced the language of the story. Okay, so for example, the very first story in My Disney Stars and Friends, basically the language is hello and goodbye. All right, so you'll have done hello and goodbye in the circle time. How you do that is all in the teacher's book, okay? And you'll have presented the lesson using story cards. We've got story cards as well. Okay, so when you're in the circle time, you can tell the story. That's got an audio as well. You can play the audio with the story cards. But then in the book time, they're going to hear it all over again with their own books as well. Now, this, you see, when they go to book, they will see for themselves the same lesson. They'll feel that it's theirs, that they're a part of it, that they are familiar with it, and that they can interact with it. And of course, because the story is in the book, they can also listen to the story, or even tell the story, what's happening in the story, once they've done it at home as well, if they take their books home with them. Okay. All right. Sorry. Let me just say one thing quickly about the story time. We're going to go on to this. There are other webinars, that are talking about using the stories. But it's again, you don't want them to don't ask too many questions about the story when they're first learning it, because it's very nice when they first hear a story for them to have time for that story to settle inside themselves. Okay. We're going to repeat the stories again and again. There's a time for reading or listening, as they will be doing at this stage, and there is a time for reading or listening comprehension. All right. And the two are different activities, actually. So, they're different stages. But I say that's a whole other webinar. And I think somebody is talking about stories, or I will also be doing something about this sort of later in another webinar, how to teach stories. Okay, so. All right, now then, playing games is the main way in which children will start to say and to understand the target lesson of language of the lesson. All right, now then, in the book, in My Disney Stars and Friends, in the teacher's book, we carefully lay out all the stages of game and what the language focus is. So I'm not going to go too much into, let's just have a look a little bit here. Yeah. I'll give you a couple of examples. But basically, when you're playing a game, so you've done your circle time, you've done your book time, and then we're going to get up and do something. It's like going to be a song or a game. All right. But if a game involves physical activity, and a lot of them do, most of them do, make sure that you leave time again for the children to rest and to drink some water, have their little paper cups of water. Now, the children will always get involved with the games, and they might not use the target language which you intended. But if you keep on saying it during the game, so, what's this? It's a ball. What's this? It's a ball. Keep saying, and eventually they will join in. Don't feel that the game hasn't, if they're not using the target language. These things happen very gradually. Okay, so here's just a couple of ideas for things. So what's this? Okay, this is a very useful game. You can play this with any nouns. You just get an item and cover it with a cloth. Okay, cover it with a piece of fabric or something, and children guess what it is. So what's this? Okay, they guess what it is. They can see from the shape, they can guess what it is. Reveal the item, and you can use that game to teach any concrete noun. So hide the item and let them guess what it is. And of course, again, these games are things that you can do in circle time, and you can make Mickey the puppet play all of these games first. So Mickey, you can see, maybe you could cover a ball with a cloth. What's this, Mickey? And Mickey can say, oh, it's a chair. And you say, oh, Mickey, you silly thing, it's not a chair. All right. And then they can all laugh. And then the children know more than Mickey. So this is a very powerful way for them to feel. All right. Some other ideas, very quick ideas for games. There's loads and loads of ideas for games in the actual teacher's book. So you can play families. Maybe you're teaching the families. You use teddy bears or dolls. Or you can, to be members of the family, you can play make-believe, you can dress up as members of the family. And I would say that in your classroom, it's very useful to have a little dressing up box. And I know you don't all have specific classrooms that you're always in, but maybe some boxes you can keep in the staff room. If your school has the funds, you could buy like carnival costumes, wigs, headbands, hats, false moustache. but this is not necessary. And you could just have a few pieces of fabric, some old clothes of yours or the children's, scarves, sheets, anything that with the children's imagination, these can work. For instance, a scarf can become a shawl, it can become a cape, it can become a skirt, it can even become long hair. You can make a scarf into long hair. And these are things that help our children with their creative thinking and their imagination. All right, now miming is something in my Disney Stars and Friends. We have a lesson in each unit to do with feelings and how we express our feelings. Okay, this is a very important part of the children's development. And miming is an activity which the children will relate to when it is used for expressing feelings, because children very carefully observe each other when they are expressing feelings. So, for example, if one child is suddenly having a temper tantrum, what happens is the children don't look away. They all absolutely stare at the child having a temper tantrum because they are fascinated to see how that child is coping with what that child is feeling. So they're partly thinking, part of them is thinking, I might do that. Part of that is thinking, oh, I've never seen anyone do that before. They're taking it all in. So, so maybe a child using, showing sadness, showing anger, showing excitement. These can all be done through mime. So, for example, if we want to teach the phrase, I'm scared, we can do this through mime using facial expressions as well as body language. And it's very useful to have mime as part of your sort of toolkit, let's say, of activities in the classroom, because in this way, the children will gradually get used to the idea of using expressive movement to convey meaning, and this will help with their language development. Now then, again, in the teacher's book, if you look at the teacher's book of My Disney Stars and Friends, we give you ideas for how you might mime I'm scared, because obviously it's not always I'm scared. We're not all going like that. We're not all trembling like that. Sometimes we just go very still and very quiet. Sometimes we just sort of retreat. Sometimes we do very little because we're so scared. We want to almost become, we want to minimize ourselves. So all these things are part of our children discovering their feelings, and it's a very important part, as I say, of their development. And of course, we're also teaching them the language of the feelings. I'm scared, I'm happy, I'm upset, etc., etc. Okay. All right, yeah, as I say, so in My Disney Stars and Friends, we have one lesson in each unit which focuses on our feelings. I think you'll enjoy it. It's got audios, it's got children in different situations, so they can relate to it. Yeah. So this is one from Unit 1, this is I'm happy. Different ways in which you can sort of quiet happiness, just sitting with mum, reading a book, very happy, very, with a balloon, etc. Yeah, things that the children can relate to. All right, now then, craft and stickers. So it's very important that children love doing some craft and sticker work. For a start, always do your craft and sticker work sometime in the middle of the lesson. Leave time for clearing up. And in My Disney Stars and Friends, we have press outs for craft work, which means that we do not need scissors, which is always a plus. I think you will agree. All right. All right, so for any craft work, there are 4 stages. So do, again, allow time for each stage. So there's preparation, sort of finding the things, what we're going to do, actually making it, production, and then playing with the craft item. So the one that you saw earlier was like a mask. They're going to make a mask, and this is in Unit 1 of Level 1. And then tidying up. Do involve them in the tidying up, okay? So they start to learn social responsibility. Okay, so in My Disney Stars and Friends, we have a special tidy up song. It's tidy up or clear up. I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, yeah, that you can play when they tidy up. So do involve them in that. It's a activity. And of course, you can be talking to them, let's tidy up, and they can be singing the song at the same time. All right, so songs and chants at this early stage, learning to sing English is as important as learning to speak English. Again, it's important to point this out to the parents as well, because they might not have learned English in this way themselves. Okay, so learning to sing. So in My Disney Stars and Friends, all the target language is taught through pictures, stories, listening activities, games, and very importantly, songs and chants. So when we sing together. And this means that some children will be singing all the words and some children won't. Some people just be opening their mouths and just going, doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. That's okay. Don't pick up the kids who are just pretending to sing, all right, because they haven't learned the word. They just keep on singing. Children love to sing the same songs over and over, and gradually they will pick up the words, okay? So don't single children out. Let them all sing together. Some children might just enjoy the experience of being in the group of singers without actually singing at all. So let them enjoy this mindful time, and gradually they will become more vocal as time goes on. Okay. Workbook, so there's always a workbook, of course, with simple activities which relate to the student's book. And it's easier for the children and for the parents if you can find time to do the workbook activities in class. And prepare them for the activity as a class, first of all, using the board or the whiteboard. So show them exactly what they've got to do before you hand out the workbooks. If you hand out the workbooks first, they'll all have started doing it. All right. Then hand out the workbooks and make sure every child's found the correct page. Then when they have the right page and they all know what the activity requires, then you hand out the crayons and the pencils. Okay, so step by step. These are simpler things. You give them all the workbooks and the pencils before you've explained. They'll be doing something randomly without knowing what they're supposed to be doing. All right. So many of the students will still be learning how to hold a pencil at this age. There are different ways you can do it, but I think gradually it comes with practice, okay? Just take time to help them find the correct way, okay? I think gradually you can help them a bit. It's very difficult to teach someone else how to hold a pencil. You can see they do it completely wrong like that, okay? You're going to help them. But also they'll help each other. It's something that you naturally pick up as well. So with a little bit of input from you, but also with time and patience from you, most importantly. Okay. And then again, we're coming to the end now. And just as we took time to come into the class, time your class so that everyone can find their bags and leave the class in a leisurely and an orderly fashion. So this is especially important if they're going to another lesson, so they don't all race out. And it's also important for them just to leave the class in a sort of mild-mannered way. In My Disney Stars and Friends, we have a goodbye routine with a song, okay? And then just as you greeted the children into the class, use their names again when you say goodbye and encourage them to do the same with their friends. They say goodbye, Marius, goodbye, Alexandra, etc. To each other. And again, this is very important in how they feel about each other and as a group. Right, well, that is it from me. Now, this is all three of the books. They're lovely, absolutely gorgeous books. I hope you do find the time to look at them. And what we're going to do actually is we're going to see if there's any questions here. Let's have a look here, if we've got time for a little bit of any questions. Okay. 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 So, Jessica has asked a question. We're not allowed to give children books in my school. Okay. All right. Okay, hang on a second. Not allowed to use books in my school. Can I use just one for me, or is it best not? Well, I would say if you don't use a book, it's going to be very difficult for you to plan your lessons. It's a shame that the children aren't allowed to use the books. But I would say definitely use one for you. Otherwise, we've given so much thought into planning all the lessons. It'd be so much easier if you can use one for yourself. Absolutely. So I don't think you want to do it without. we've done all the work for you. You know, everything is carefully planned out. I think it'd be very difficult for you to have to start without a book. All right, okay. All right. So, okay. So someone's asking about postgraduate student studies. Oh, goodness me. Do you know what? I don't know about postgraduate studies that I would recommend. Someone's asked if there's postgraduate studies that we would recommend when it comes to teaching English to very young learners. Well, you know, there's an awful lot of theory about, but nothing can beat actually do it in the classroom. My opinion would be to just get in and do it and learn on the job, actually. I think that would be more helpful, I would think. You can always read up on all the theory, but I bet in the postgraduate studies, they wouldn't tell you to, they wouldn't remember to tell you to not give out the pencils and the workbooks before you've explained. I don't know, maybe they will. Maybe it would just be all theory. But I think the classroom is the best thing. Okay. Okay, so if you haven't got a puppet, they say, what can we do if we don't have a puppet? If you haven't got a puppet, maybe a doll or something else. All right, you know, if you don't have, I'm sure there's something that you can use. You don't have to have a proper puppet. You can make a puppet out of an old clean sock, for example, or a doll, an old doll, or just draw on a piece of cardboard and put it on a and make that face a name. You know, if you don't, you can make your own puppet very, very simply. You don't have to spend a lot on these teaching aids. Okay, any more? Okay. Okay, my question is it a good idea to use a workbook? Yes, you can. You can also use the workbook as a small homework book for kids to do with their parents. Yeah. Yes, if there isn't time to use the workbook in the classroom, absolutely you can use it at home. What I would do is make sure that the parents know what they have to do. It's usually fairly obvious, but what I would do in that case is have a notebook that you're going to give to the parents and tell them what page it is and a very short explanation what they do. They have to color it, they have to draw themselves, they have to match, something like that. But yes, absolutely, you can use the workbook as a homework book. Okay, so I think that is probably all the questions. Okay. Oh yes, so the structure of the course. So so yes, these books. It's up to you how you use them, what age you start with. But yes, book number 1 is you can start from 3 years old, 3 to 4. Book 2, 4 to 5. Book 3, 5 to 6. But it depends on what country you're in. If they haven't started, you could also have them for a later age as well. If they're starting using English at 5, you could start with book 1 for age 5. But they can also be used for 3-year-olds. Okay, so you can start with very, very young children. Okay, well, I think we're going to go over the time, so I think that's it now. And thank you very much again, everybody, for attending. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let's just have a little look here. Okay. All right. So thank you very much. And well, I wish you all a wonderful school year. Thank you very much, everybody. All right. Bye.